Hello guys, welcome back to our defense series step 4, and today we're gonna look on how to develop anticipation skills and read your opponent's player. So let's first know the principles of anticipation. The first principle is to know the opponent's options. We have multiple options on the pitch. As a game of football, we always pass the ball. We have that space to drive into, so as the defender you need to spot these options and try your best to cover them and give the opponent hard time. As in this video, we are focusing on the situation where you defend using only one defender that moment, then we shall later look on how to use multiple defenders. 2 is the confidence. A true defender is always confident in any choice he makes. We all make mistakes and learn from them, but you need to defend with confidence and trust in your abilities, like tackling that ball from the opponent's player. If you approach with a strong mentality to take the ball no matter what, 90% of the times you will win it. Then the third, we have to watch out for multiple options. There are times when the opponent have many options, like 2 open passing lanes, or like space and the open passing lane. Here is the defender. For example, when defending using one defender, we use the push and pull technique, or open and close technique, where you first analyze and notice the opponent's best option that moment. What is the first option your opponent is most likely to take first, before trying the second one? For example, space and pass. Most of the times a lot of players think about passing then dribbling, so that's the option you can first close, then after closing it, cover the space or approach the ball holder. Then the fourth, we have the reaction time, as the number one important rule of anticipation. In order to use the push and pull technique very effective, you need to react fast, where you make sure you react, or take action first before the opponent makes his move. How can we move our defender when performing push and pull or open and close technique? It's like pretense, or baiting trick. You pretend like you're committing to a certain direction, then you don't, drag back or pull back your defender. We shall explore about the push and pull tricks, but to be successful with it you need to be in control. FIFA as the game, the one in control of everything has high advantage over the other, so you need to be in control defense-wise, or you're first one to take the action defense move before your opponent. Here it forces the opponent to react to your actions, so here you can plan for him according to the options he have that moment. You can set traps like opening up space, and you immediately close it. The last principle is about mindset. Defending like this is a little bit of being aggressive and it's risky also, but all it's about risk versus reward. Defending like this will make your opponent feel like you're always steps ahead of him, but that's how most FIFA pros defend on the game. So now you have the ideas and the principles, let's look at some of the push and pull tricks, or proactive defending tricks, the aggressive tricks you need to learn in the early stages of anticipation. Cutting passing lane, then you approach the opponent ball holder. Here we're combining two, the pass logic and the one-on-one logic. Here you need to first notice the opponent's pass as early as possible, cut that pass first and then approach his ball holder. This is one of the tricks you should first master to improve your anticipation skills. The opponent feels like he have less time on the ball. For example here, as the opponent is running down the wing, I'm chasing him down and my player is catching up. So I anticipate the change of direction from the opponent because 70% will stop and turn away. So in my head I'm scanning for his options. If he turns, and I see this player, the pass will be open. If the opponent turns, the opponent slows down, and I immediately position my defender in the passing lane. So in this position I know the opponent will not take the pass anymore, so I decide to approach the ball holder and challenge for the ball, and I ended up dispossessing the ball holder, though it was the opponent's throw in. But see how I was moving my defender here, not overcommitting to any direction, but always very tight and close to him. You cover up space and approach the ball holder. How? As space is one of the options when playing a football game, so we consider it to be very important and crucial. So here, if the opponent has 2 space options, you need to first pretend like you're committing to one, then you immediately turn and approach the ball holder. This is a baiting trick and very effective if done very well. For example here, as I switch to my defender in this position, the opponent has 2 space options to drive to, and he can go either way. But as we talked about, the first option which the opponent is most likely to take first, and I think this direction, sprinting forward, so we have to take our action first. We closed that space and positioned our defender very well, and remember we don't overcommit to it. Then we approached the ball holder and win the ball back, all that came from confidence. One of the best pro defending tricks, you will realize that many pros use this trick a lot if you analyze their gameplay. Scanning the pitch is very crucial. If the opponent has two passing options that moment, as we always do, you push your defender to cut one passing lane, but you don't overcommit to it. You immediately pull him back and cut the other passing lane, because if you overcommit and cut one passing lane, some good opponents always vision two passing lanes during those situations, so he can take the other open pass if he notices you cutting the other. For example here, I mistakenly pulled out my full back because of right stick switch mistake. This opens up two good passing lanes, the short pass to the striker, and the through pass to the winger. Here I need to first cover the option which the opponent is most likely to take, and the most dangerous one first. As you see by yourself, it's this through pass. I run back to cover it, but always remember, we don't overcommit, guys. I know my opponent is smart and he can't take that pass which am tracking, so I immediately decide to pull back and cut the short passing lane, which I ended up winning the ball back. The important principles: don't overcommit, and always prioritize the dangerous option first. The third is something very tricky and also effective in many cases. It's also a pro trick used to bait the opponent and outsmart his plans. So if the opponent has two options that moment, the space and the passing lane, here we trick the opponent into thinking that we're approaching his ball holder. Since the opponent is also watching that free player, in his mind he thinks that if the opponent press my player, then I will pass the ball to my free teammate. So you approach the ball holder, but don't overcommit to that. You immediately pull your defender into the passing lane. For example, here the opponent is building up from his half. As he passes to his full back, I immediately select my winger and close up the gap. Here in this scenario, the opponent has this free player, so we just need to react to what I'm doing. If I commit and press his ball holder, then he will pass to that player. And if I just cut the passing lane, he will also react well and just dribble in front. So I outsmart him by pretending like I'm approaching his ball holder. This is to trick him into thinking that this pass is open. Then I immediately close the pass lane. Then we have this trick known as Pounce, where you cut the through pass lane, then you approach and challenge the ball. So this trick normally works with through pass scenarios. If the opponent has the through pass opportunity to his running player, then as the defender you have to track that runner. Since a lot of players are familiar with this and they tend to read it, so they take their time on the ball and move forward. And even some drive forward by sprinting into the space you're leaving. So here, as the smart defender, the trick normally works with the last defender when he's not too far away from the ball holder. So yes, you track this run and convince your opponent that the through pass is not an easy opportunity. But you don't overcommit to it. You immediately approach the ball holder, and this really surprises a lot of opponents. For example here, the opponent passes to his player and trigger his striker to run forward. So here I first track this run and stop the through pass opportunity. But I know my opponent is also good. He will read that and keep holding the ball for other options. But I didn't commit on tracking the runner. I run a little bit backwards to sell my bait. Then I immediately approach his ball holder and win the ball. These tricks, yes, are good and effective, but remember it differs on the type of the opponent you are matching against. Some opponents are not too smart as the way you think, so you need to study the opponent's playstyle and understand his skill levels. Some of FIFA strategies needs time to be mastered. You only need to trust the learning process and stick with it. By the time it will become second nature, and you need to naturally feel what you're doing rather than thinking about them. Hope you learned something today. Thanks for watching.